still real to me, damn it!
Pro wrestling versus sports entertainment has been the talk of the town for over 25 years. Over to the extent of you like this style of wrestling to the other style of wrestling. And I always try my hardest to try to go for the neutral ground so I can pick a side so I can hear both perspectives. And I say they're the same shit. They're the same thing. And for the people not gravitating this because they think that just pure pro wrestling, it's not the advantageous sport. Pro wrestling is not something that they did over gladiator times. People were legit murking each other in gladiator times. This was a theatrical carny of entertainment that were traveled around shows before they pushed us more inspired by realistic fighting, and they put this over the territories to what we know now being a global stock monopoly that's been primarily more for WWE because they know how to do it right. Certain companies try to gravitate more to try to feel like they're the exception, like they're the same thing. Like they're completely different with their own spice and flavors when all of them share the same goddamn ingredient like Coke to Pepsi. It's not really expecting much. I just want to drink what looks to be a better color or a certain taste. And that's perfectly fine. But stop trying to gravitate to that like nobody else is doing sports entertainment. You think Impact doesn't do... MLW doesn't try sports entertainment. If it wasn't with the entertainment involved in pro wrestling, then it'd just be sports, but predetermined. No tables, no chairs, no crazy segments. And how AEW thinks that they're not trying to rip off other companies or not Impact, trying to inclusify segments, cinematic feuds and storylines into matches where they're more off-camera, their own gimmicks. You think having a gimmick centers around your wrestling prowess or an actual or a caricature trying to entertain the masses while you're dumbing around getting concussion spots for 20 minutes for only $6 a night. Like, just get over yourself. And all over this is like trying to compare your niche show over a mainstream show when they're trying to gravitate to the same audience. Except the niche one is trying to actually get the niche, while the mainstream one's trying to connect to everybody. Like, you're not really doing much except really gatekeeping what's going on, and it's disgusting. Why can't we just accept that literally wrestling got its way by being both physical and entertaining? That's why the term sports entertainment fits more into how we are, or how we even consume wrestling, because we do win and losses while trying to invest to a character. That's why Vince doesn't do it, because being a pro wrestler doesn't make you an athlete. Unless you were a legitimate athlete before being a pro wrestler. Brock Lesnar didn't get a pro football job for the Minnesota Vikings, even if he wasn't that good, because he was that great of a pro wrestler. Yes, his clout while being a pro wrestler did get him in a major platform, but he was also an athletic freak that was a multi-time All-American champion, or else he wouldn't be in the UFC. Or CM Punk as well. You think their character alone over their previous background? CM Punk was a backyard jobber beating skinny fat people over a living until he got to face guys like John Cena. And that's over the benefits of sports entertainment. How he even got that prevalent, or else the UFC wouldn't even pick up the phone. It's that, like, agitating to see how much people try to segregate the term over sports entertainment and wrestling, when literally they're all doing the same thing to try to get the fans invested when it comes to in-ring and out of the, and, the other stuff like promos, characters, and segments, and storylines. Like pro wrestling and sports entertainment is in the same term. We just term it the same, just to brand it differently. It's ridiculous. You can call it overly corporate. You can call it whatever you want, but it's really no different, bro. And for the people just saying pro wrestling is pro wrestling, the fat nerds that are unathletic, untalented, and coming around just saying that over to the extent trying to feel like they're greater than thou when they haven't even been involved in the business. Just calm down. Alright? So, somebody saying that like this is a different form of sports entertainment really separates its own from how it is from MMA. Because anybody who looks at a pro wrestling match knows it's fake as shit. Own up to it already. Pro wrestling isn't the same as Muay Thai, kickboxing, pro boxing. It's a theatric that we watch every week. Over to the extent to know what characters are fighting, why they are fighting, and what brings them over to this point until the end. That's entertainment, while involving sports into the mix. Japan does it, AEW does it, Mexico does it, and the way we even just simplify this over to try to feel like we have greater wrestling intelligence than anybody else, it's sad. And knowing that this has been an argument for over decades now, it's weird. And this is just over to the spite that WWE says it, so that means it sucks. And sure, you might say that I'm brainwashed or I'm trying to force over the narrative. You guys can say whatever term of pro wrestling you want. Alright? But that's the type of genre that, pro wrestling instills. And that's literally over the terms of what WWE is, even if you guys want to disagree with it or not. Sports entertainment is pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is sports entertainment. It's the same stuff. It's just saying a different way. Whether you guys like it or not, that's how it is. If anybody else said anything different, it'll be put into like a slurry of different terms, and then we have to go through a Twitter war or something, and then a race war, then a storage war, and then a civil war, and then a world war. Like, you guys need to chill out. Because over to this extent, I know it's despite the bigger company that uses the term, because that's the way they want to brand themselves, to turn themselves a cut above the rest. Because they literally are a cut above the rest. They come over calling themselves the run-of-the-middle wrestling fed, and nobody watches. They want to make themselves bigger, brand themselves to the extent that still termifies pro wrestling as how it is, just put into a special way of how they do it. And the same thing would go for any other wrestling fed that uses this. Honestly. Or else we wouldn't need it recorded. Or gimmicked. Or long term. I'm being serious. But besides that, tell me how you guys feel about my opinion on it. Do you feel like sports entertainment and wrestling are the same thing, just saying differently, or you just think it's completely different because I'm an ignorant casual that just don't get the wrestling business like obviously you do, sitting around your computer all day all because you interview luchadors or Japanese guys, me that you know more than I do. I'm just saying. Just make your own opinion. And that's all I'm wishing for everybody. That's why the comment section is a thing. And you're allowed to have your own opinion and type it down so we can have a point of view. That's it from me. Thanks for watching.